They may be centuries ahead of us in terms of development, but we shall meet them, overcome and lead them within decades, the moment we put our game together. These are the words of Stalin when he took the position at the head of the table in the Communist Party in 1922. One of the most horrifying scenes came along in 1945 when Hiroshima and Nagasaki made the world experience the devastating consequences of an atomic bomb. Japan was just a scapegoat that was used to warn Russia that should you continue with the Second World War, this might be your fate. And that is the reason why 8 years after, Khrushchev decided to gather scientists. He didn't go to schools to get students. He gathered scientists and put together and demanded them to create a weapon similar or more powerful to the atomic bomb. And that is why the world witnessed its first hydrogen bomb in 1953 August. Now in Africa, like in other parts of the world, they always tell you that education is the key to success in life. Good and fine. But come to Africa and you evaluate the money given to a professor in a year for research, and you go see how much they sponsor a single football player that doesn't bring anything meaningful to contribute to the development of an economy, then you realize that the world is not set to truly help humanity. I will get us to an example like China. China is the most powerful economy in the world. No matter whatsoever the dribbles around and all that. But does China take football as a priority? No. China does not. Does India take football as their priority? No. They have very powerful economies. Because they set the ball straight. They go to, they implement the STEM. STEM as an acronym stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are the things that they focus on. In spite of the fact that Africa is the most blessed continent with natural resources, that is not the greatest resource of Africa. Africa's greatest resource is our youngest population on the planet. These populations have to be harnessed and brought out the best they have in them. Okay, good and fine. Africa, you have resources. Do you have chemists who can transform your natural resources to finished products so that you sell at world prices? I mean, finished products at world prices. You and I know the answer. It is a capital no. Now, you talking about chemists. I'm not referring to these guys who graduate from school. No. I'm talking about chemists. Like if you hear of alchemy, like that was the one that was invented in ancient Kemet. I'm talking about chemists who can actually transform the natural resources of Africa and use them to be sold as finished products in the market, in the world market. We don't have them.
One of Zimbabwe's most celebrated technopreneurs, Maxwell Chikumbutso, has once again come up with a masterstroke innovation, and this time it is an embedded wireless power generator that uses radio frequency to power a television set. Chikumbutso demonstrated his latest innovation to a ZBC News crew at his base in Harare, whereby a TV does not need the electricity connection for it to function.
This is our self-powered TV that we have designed, the first in the world to have such kind of a technology where a television is powered with a radio frequency. So as you can see right now, I'm powering this television. So this is the first television in the world that uses self-power to say. It is all in one. You don't need to put it on electricity or on solar panel or anything. As it is a complete solution. Behind the television, you can see that there is a microsonic energy device, this box. This is the device that is converting radio frequencies into pure energy. As you can see, the power of the cable was supposed to be here. On all traditional televisions, power comes here, but there's no power, as you can see. The television is working as it is. So in layman, I think this television is we can call it a self-powered television.
It is indeed an exciting innovation that comes in handy for households without electricity, and even so, a relief to many in the event of power outages. Chikumbutso continues to fly the Zimbabwean flag high in the world of innovation, and this latest offering will put the country's map at the forefront of technological transformation. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
Then why don't we make use of this natural chemist that the creator of the universe has so blessed Africa with? Because the talents are everywhere. It is so astonishing. You see guys inventing drones, innovating drones. You see people like the Maxwell I just mentioned in Zimbabwe. Why don't we make use of them? This should be our priority. But go ask the African leaders who have power whether they even give a dent to these people. They are scattered on the streets. I don't count how many times that brothers from Nigeria have reached out to me
up to 4 hours,
saying, bro, this is it, I have the talent. I have built a drone that has flown, remote control, and here I am, I don't even have the material
targeting 100 kilometers.
to build my stuff.
Companies are looking towards solutions that
it happens here in Cameroon. There are so many of them
So what
who
we decided to
build
do
these
is
things,
come up
but they
with
don't
our
even have the
proper solution.
material to do
So
this.
our system here is designed
Now,
locally
Africa is
and,
thinking about having a single military.
This is a
When you have that
vertical
military,
takeoff
do you
and
think that you
landing
still need to
drone. So we
go
have
buy
the 4 motors
weapons
there
or
that
from
assist in the
outside?
takeoff and the
No,
landing.
you cannot go
Then
buying weapons
once
from outside.
transition
Of recent,
is
I met a young
complete,
man who has
we move
built
to our main
a
propulsion
submarine
system,
from scratch.
which is a
I mean, from
petrol
scratch.
engine.
This guy built
The all-up
everything
weight
in
for
small
this
model
system is
submarine.
43
And it's functional.
kilograms.
Watch the video
We can
and see the
integrate
talents we
our
have that
surveillance
we are
package,
wasting.
where we have a day and night
Wake up,
camera.
Africa.
We're also looking at
Before me, you can
package
see
delivery,
a born engineer who has just designed a submarine, and this submarine is operated using a remote control. And this guy is so talented. Sometimes when you look around the continent, you see people like this who have a lot of talents that are being neglected by the governments that be. There is a talk that we have to continue, but for now, just enjoy the show. You see, that is the propeller revolving. You see, this is a submarine that can be used to improve the army of the continent. Remember, we're talking about a continental army that is so necessary to defend and protect the people of Africa. These are the kind of people we are looking for. And gathering them together will propel Africa to another level. This is Prince. Congratulations, bro. Thank you.
The recent cruise now is African leaders lobbying for veto powers in the United Nations. Gaddafi cried and asked for this thing. He was ignored. Mugabe cried and demanded for veto powers and even asked the Security Council to be reformed. We have cried and asked, yet deaf ears have been given Africa, which has over 1.3 billion humans on Earth. But why do African leaders keep begging for veto powers from an organization that was created to subjugate the third world? Guy, when Woodrow Wilson decided to form the League of Nations in 1920, it was because Europe already foresaw that they were about losing their colonies, and it was a way to kind of drift their colonies back to their son, America, and that is why the League of Nations was formed. After Second World War, when Germany had failed to capture and enslave the entire Europe, they discovered that the League of Nations was not effective enough. They have to give birth to the United Nations in 1945. still to continue with the subjugation of the third world with other organizations, World Health Organization, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, International Court of Justice, and the rest. And that is why when the Cold War prolonged, the Bandung Conference in 1955 had no choice. The Bandung Conference had to be held in order to propagate the third world in all this turmoil. But why others beg in Africa with all the enormous power you have? Africa, why don't you just unite and stand as one man and watch the United Nations come to you, Africa, and beg that now that you are a nation, perhaps you'll be needing the right of 4 veto powers in the UN, if that will be possible. They will beg you to take 4. That is the kind of power you have. But you know what? Our leaders will not think this way because of their myopic nature of seeing things. They lack foresight. It is pathetic, honestly. In 1996, when Nyerere had apologized to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah that we were wrong and you were right. You were right, Nkrumah. You said the path of gradualism to African unity is a trap. You were right and we were wrong. How many years after? Africa is still trying to build block by block, state by state. We are co-authors of our own misfortune, and it is so pathetic. Now, need I remind you that during the creation of the League of Nations, no African country was invited. Need I remind you that during the brutal partition of the continent of Africa in 1884-85 Berlin Conference, no African was represented. Need I remind you that during the birth of the United Nations, no African was invited? Why then do you think that demanding for veto powers from that organization will be granted to you? Wake up, Africa. It is all on you. Only you can do it by yourself. It is time to stop fooling yourself. Ciao.